Okay. So this is a video that I initially thought about recording myself, and I kind of, this morning I just kind of woke up with the thought of actually doing it and explaining why I myself decided to quit Diablo Immortal since I started streaming it on this channel, and I thought that even knowing everything about the game and the way it works so far, I thought that at least as a casual story driven player, I was gonna go through with it, that I was gonna finish like the main story quest line just for the sake of story. Because I haven't ever played any other Diablo games, which, well, I'm probably a minority when it comes to that. But I just genuinely wanted to know what the story is about. And I got to level like what, 21, 22. I didn't even reach that point where people described it as the starting point, like where the grind actually happens. I think like level 30 or so. And it was supposed to be probably my second Diablo stream. But after I finished my first one, I was just kind of, to be honest, I was overly consumed with news and everything that was just already out there, like all the media and everything just completely trashing the game, that I just kind of felt bad going out there and streaming a game that you guys don't want to watch at all. And I started playing something else, figuring I would finish with the MSQ off stream, that I would, record it and publish it as a video at some point or whatever. But somehow I never really got around to do that. I think I lost interest in finishing the game after realizing that that time commitment that I would put into the game just to see the story doesn't pay off, because I am not intending to spend money on the game, and I'm not intending to play the Diablo Immortal endgame. So I figured, if I want to see the story and no one else really wants to watch someone, play through the story or whatever, I'm just gonna go and watch a YouTube video that has the MSQ or the recap or whatever, or I'll go and watch someone else's stream who has finished the MSQ and who's read through the quests. Because why would I be putting that amount of time into a game that isn't going to give me anything back? If I'm in it for the story, I'm just going to consume it through the story. And I don't necessarily need to give my own time to the game to do that. I could be doing anything else and just playing a video in the back. So I never really gave you that explanation as to why I stopped, but I've been wanting to, and I think this is just kind of a good opportunity to do that, because I do want to watch this video. I actually clicked on it today, and and then I realized that I just kind of want to watch it with you guys. So we are going to watch it together and hopefully discuss it. I like watching asmongold's takes after playing a game. Say what you will about the man, he is smart and insightful, and he does bring up good points about games that he plays, and I really do enjoy his overall attitude and approach when it comes to analyzing these games. So I'm actually really curious about the video. I hope we enjoy it as much as we can enjoy a video that, talks about Diablo Immortal. All right, let's go.
Hi guys, it's me. I'd like to talk about.
Oh gosh, every time he says hi guys, I know it's like a saying, but I've watched a lot of his videos and I never feel like an actual target group.
Our favorite game, Diablo Immortal. I started playing on release. I've been level 60 now for a few days. I've gotten some of the Paragon levels, and I've spent a couple $1,000s. I think I've had the.
See, this is something that I don't necessarily know about the game just yet, and as a content creator, I feel like I should know it. But I was under the initial impression that in order to just get to level 60 and play through the story, I don't need to spend any money to make it happen in a reasonable time frame, that I don't have to invest months just to reach level 60 if I'm free to play. So when I heard from people that around level 30 to 40 or whatever, they started investing a ton of money, that was a bit shocking to me. And honestly, I'm just kind of happy that I didn't reach that level of disappointment and aggravation on stream, because that technically would have been my next Diablo Immortal stream that never really happened.
Diablo experience that Blizzard has so adamantly promised Diablo Immortal would provide. I'd like to give my opinions about the game. This isn't a full review.
Oh gosh, you can see how pissed off he is. Like you can see it right on his face.
It's not a first impressions. It's somewhere in between. And I'd just like to talk to you guys about what's happened. And since then, I've quit the game. So if that's a little bit of a spoiler of how I feel about it, there you
Sorry for pausing a lot, but I just kind of want to comment on something else that I've been seeing throughout social media. People are like, "Ooh, spending $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 as a content creator, not as a content creator, as a player, is like unfathomable or whatever." But you also have to realize that for people who are making a decent amount of money from streaming, if they are willing to invest that money, this is not investment into a game, even though yes, it goes to Blizzard and it's shit and it's horrible and whatnot. But at the same time, that money is a personal investment into a channel. And at the same time, if you want to take that money and invest it into proving a point about something, that it's either worth it or not worth it or whatever, I completely understand that. And I think a lot of his community doesn't understand that it is a business investment. Unfortunately, like I said, that money does go to Blizzard. But at the same time, I want to say that this was an experiment of a sort. And I think Asmongold, out of all content creators out there, is justified in calling this some sort of an experiment or investment or whatever. Like if someone who is a lot smaller, like let's say if I invested like $5,000 into Diablo Immortal and called it an experiment or proving a point or growing my content or whatever, like that would not necessarily do anything or prove anything, because I don't feel like I have an established audience yet who would benefit from me doing that kind of thing. But I think in Asmongold's case, he didn't like his investment didn't push a ton of people into paying for the game. I think if anything, it has proven that that paying for the game just paying for that particular game just isn't the right thing to do.
So first thing, let's start with the campaign. Actually, that's not true. Let's start with the PC port itself. Listen, I don't play games on my phone except for Twitter. That's it. I'm not gonna sit there and play a little game on my phone, like try and look and see what's going on. I don't want to do that. Last time I did that was Pokemon Blue, and that was in the 90s. It was a long time ago. We don't play games on the phone. Thank you, Blizzard, for making a PC port of this game so I could thoroughly have it abuse me on my full 27-inch monitor instead of just the small 7-inch one that I have in front of me here. So, I would say that Blizzard didn't try with the PC port, but not trying would imply that the word try is in their vocabulary. And I don't think
They finally realized that we, in fact, do not have phones, and they had to think of a way to actually reach their target audience.
it is. Tap to join. They did
Yeah.
nothing. They did nothing. It's like one of those fucking I'm pretty sure.
It could have been a vocabulary change. It's just respectful. If you're making a PC version of the game, saying tap to join instead of click to join or whatever is just lazy and disrespectful towards the players, because you feel like, I want to say, how do I even compare it? As let's say you speak a language, and you go to another country where people speak a similar language and they use different words for some basic things, and you know these words, and you go to the store, let's say, and let's say a word like bread or whatever is called differently, and you know the word, and you're asking to buy bread, but like just out of spite of some sort or whatever, you're going to use your own word, knowing that that person understands your word and you're not going to use their word. even though you are technically in their territory, just because you're like, screw it, that is not my language, and I will just not use that word to just like show an amount of, respect as I'm coming to their house. That's kind of how I felt when I saw it the first time.
One of the third party ones would be better than what Blizzard has put together for Diablo Immortal. Yeah, is it awful? Is it the worst thing ever? No, it's not the worst thing ever, but it's not the best thing ever either, and it's a lot closer to the worst than the best. If you click off the screen, your audio pauses. There's a bunch of settings that many games just,
Dude, I thought I was the only one who had that issue. I was looking through the settings and I was trying to find it because whenever I would have to like exit the game to click like in the chat or my, I don't know, streaming software or whatever, every that would happen every time. I didn't know that was like a thing that like I thought I just didn't know how to fix that.
have and this game doesn't have for PC. I feel like there's a lot of sliders that could be added. I'm not talking about even a boob slider. I'm talking about
I
just
knew
very
it.
simple sliders for text sizes, different UI, different types of interactivity that you would have on a PC port that just simply does not exist. And so
Oh god, I love how his monitors are just there flashing in the background.
what I really want to talk about today is just the in
It's
general
distracting.
lack of effort with this game. Because whenever I hear people talk about, oh man, Diablo Immortal is such a good game, but it's just riddled with predatory microtransactions, I think to myself that you are fucking crazy. Not because you think the microtransactions are bad, but you think it'd be a good game if it didn't have them. Well, fuck no, it wouldn't be.
It wouldn't be a good game, it would be a different game, and the game itself would have to revolve around different things. Like um I can't name the actual example since I haven't finished playing the game, but once you reach the end game, like from what I've seen from other people playing, it would simply have to it would simply have to have more content that you can actually go through, and the actual playtime would have to be more meaningful. The game would just have to be so much different.
Be a good game. Diablo 3 came out 10 years ago, and it's the same thing. What do you mean it'd be a good game? We already had it, and people fucking hated it. Remember Diablo 3 release? Oh my god, it was a nightmare. And then the game was garbage forever. And Diablo fucking Reaper of Souls, oh my god. What have they done with that game in the past decade? Nothing. Like, I mean, really nothing. Done nothing with the game. Diablo recently, I guess it was when did it come out? It's like May or something like that. Diablo 3. So it just recently had its 10-year anniversary, and across 10 years of innovation, we've gone from killing the end boss of an act to killing the end boss of a rift. Wow, what an incredible like imagination that these developers have. And Diablo Immortal is no better. Imagine my surprise running through the rifts that I spent $25 a piece for in Diablo Immortal, going through some eerily familiar tile sets and procedurally generated maps. Am I the only one, guys, that's seen all of these different maps?
Like I haven't played the other Diablo games and I don't have this experience. But it's just to me it's just baffling how Blizzard has managed to over the years sell the same products over and over again. We knew that this would happen, and they already knew that if they could ship World of Warcraft Classic and other classic titles based on nostalgia, and if like if they saw, and they did, that it was possible that it was going to bring them a ton of money, if only from subscriptions, they knew that they can reuse everything else in all the other games and call it new. Like I used to play a ton of Hearthstone. Hearthstone used to be my main Blizzard game, and I can't wait for like what was it? Knights of the Frozen Throne, a remastered expansion where they get a different ending or something, and then those cards get like a super twist or whatever. Like at some point they'll do it.
Before. I've gone through. I used to farm Listen, my character sucked for a while, and so I could only farm Act 1 in Diablo 3. Man, I go through the different maps and it's like, oh, I remember this tile set, I remember this layout, I remember this one here. It's just so shameless, it's so effortless, and you can easily say, oh, wait a minute, Blizzard didn't make this, NetEase did. What do you think? They brought this out without Blizzard playing it? So let's compare two different universes here, and you can tell me which one's worse, because I'm not really sure. So Universe 1 is that Blizzard didn't even look at the game and didn't really care about the fact that the majority of its in-game content was lifted from a game that fucking was the biggest disappointment of the 2010s that's now the biggest predatory game in the 2020s. So let's say Blizzard didn't even fucking look into this. They didn't even try. They didn't even care. And they just said, yep, that's good. Where do I sign? Put it on out there. Okay, that's universe number 1. Universe number 2 is Blizzard actually thoroughly looked through this game and came to the conclusion after focus group and testing and, you know, like internal meetings that this is up to par.
That is the shit.
So is it better that they don't care and they just let it go out there, or is it better that they thought this was good enough? Well, I don't know, guys. I think either one's circling the drain. And so I'm just so fucking astonished that so many people are eating this bullshit with a silver spoon. And actually, to be fair, it's more like a gold one if you're playing the riffs with 10 keystones enabled. So anyway, you know what the campaign reminded me of?
As someone who used to main Hearthstone, I know that this is not something that I should, that I can say and feel justified, because I did spend a lot of money on Hearthstone. And I still do from time to time spend money on cosmetic microtransactions in Final Fantasy XIV that I don't regret. The thing about it is that my only justification for this is the amount of money that I spend. Like, I could say that, like, in a time span of, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 months, I spent like, what, $10 or so. Like, if I really want something, if something shows up like a either a mount, or if I'm buying like a birthday present from one of my friends, I also count that as my expense for my microtransactions, because sometimes I buy gifts for my friends who play Final Fantasy, whatnot. When you spend 10 or $20,000 or $100,000 on something you actually don't own, but you have just like pixels that you borrowed, and whether or not you are going to continue to have what you purchased is out of your control. That's what's really just baffling and strange to me. It's like, you pay the money, you get to use something. It is not your property. You don't have like a license over it or anything like that. If they decide to shut the servers tomorrow, you can sue them because you've agreed to playing this game, and you have they're under no obligation to keep pushing, you know, content or whatever happens with their servers. If all their servers die tomorrow, you have no control over that. And the fact that you've invested that money doesn't really mean anything. You didn't buy anything. That money, you basically paid $100,000 to borrow pixels.
It reminded me of, you know how Hollywood has run out of ideas for about 10 years now? And so every 2 or 3 years, we get a new Spider-Man movie. Every 2 or 3 years, we get a new, oh, remember that really funny comedy from the 90s where half of the jokes in it would get you canceled? Well, guess what? We're going to make part 2 of that comedy, and all the actors are old now. And so that's what it reminded me of the campaign. Because every single one of those movies are devoid of soul, devoid of passion, devoid of, you know, the youthful excitement of creativity. And the only thing that they're reduced down to
That's the problem. That was the problem with Game of Thrones. That was the problem with every other like sequel or whatever that was made, because there has been past experience that proved to that served to prove that the money was good. So it's very hard to just end something and give your fans that kind of a cool conclusion to that story, to that saga or whatever, and decide not to make money because you're potentially going to ruin something. You might not make a ton of money, but you're still going to make some money, like Star Wars or whatever. Like you're you're still making profit, and you're forgetting all those fans who were there from like the day one and who are just sitting there watching that project being burned into the ground just because of some greedy people in the suits who aren't even a part of making that project, trying to just squeeze out as much money out of it as possible. It's quite sad, really.
Is shitty fucking jokes. And hey, remember this joke that's a meta joke from the first movie? That's exactly the way that I felt about the campaign. It's that, oh, we're bringing in all the main characters from Diablo 2, and oh, we've got some of the main characters from Diablo 3 as well. Let's bring in all the greatest hits, and then somehow we can finesse some gray bearded 30-something-year-old man into emptying out his credit card before his wife finds out and takes it away from him. Holy shit, man. The campaign, I will give Blizzard this. The campaign is well voice acted. I'll say that.
It really was. Like at least the first parts that I listened through, for me they were really fun and they were engaging, and they kind of got me to want to listen through the rest of the story. And I'm just kind of sad that I haven't done that yet, but I think I will, just for the sake of that, because that was a job well done.
And you know what? I think that's true. And that's about where it starts and where it ends. Now, obviously, I paid to win throughout the game, and so the campaign was of little to no challenge to me. But from other people that I've talked to who did not pay to win, they've had relatively a similar experience. The game itself is just very shallow and lackluster. Whenever you go and you're fighting a boss in Diablo Immortal in the campaign, the thing is that after it does two abilities, you can just pretty much go wild, because that's pretty much all you're going to get. That's about it. You're just going to get these two abilities, and then eventually the boss will die. I got to the point where my strategy was to.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I thought it was just the thing with early bosses. There's no stages where the boss just gets like gradually stronger or enrages or whatever. Like at least the first few bosses that I faced, they would have like, I don't know, they would be like jumping across the map, or they would, I don't know, shoot a big line AoE or whatever, and you can learn that in like, I don't know, 30 seconds to a minute or so, and later you can just like, take that knowledge and win the battle. I thought that was just me. I thought it was just early game.
Not move my character. I wanted to not move my character as much as possible and just stand in every AoE, stand in every red circle, any bad zone, I'm taking all the damage, and it doesn't matter because, I didn't spend $2,000 to move out of red swirly boys. So I'm sitting there healing through, using potions for everything, and everything's totally fucking fine. So the campaign, in my
That
opinion,
sucks.
was, again, it was like a reanimated, actually, let's take, they've got the necromancer in game, it's like an exhumed corpse of an amalgamation between the Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 greatest hits put together and then thrown out there with no real sense of creativity, interest, or any level of creative integrity. And this has been put together, and it's just walking around like the first guy in Men in Black begging for sugar, okay? And and it's pretending to be a human. That's what the campaign was like to me. I thought it was trash. It was boring. And also, let's talk a little bit about. I don't even. The fact is that I don't even know if we're going to talk that much about the microtransactions, guys. Did you know that Diablo Immortal was pay to win? Did you know that They make you spend a lot of money. Guys, did you know that they have all these like really
That's not even like the worst thing anymore. That's the saddest thing about it.
fucking like predatory enticing deals to try to get you to spend money in the game? Did you know that? Yeah, I thought so. We all did. It's a fucking predatory pay to win piece of shit. Everybody knows that. So like I don't even really want to get that far into it, but I do want to say that it's always funny to go and check on, the first day the game came out. The first thing that I did is I put like a counter of how much money I was going to spend on a game, and I started.
I thought he wasn't gonna go more than what I initially saw him spend. That was like $300 or $400 or whatever. He eventually, I think he came up to like 2,000, but I didn't follow that part.
Free to play, and that lasted for about 5 minutes. And then I killed Leoric. I don't know why Leoric is back again. I have no idea. It didn't really make a lot of sense. But hey, guys, greatest hits. And so anyway, we kill Leoric, and it pops up. It's like, look, check out the store. We've got a special offer just for you. And it was an 800% bonus, and all I had to do was spend 99 cents. That's right, guys. It's the same price as a McDonald's drink. You guys had to buy that, and you were able to get the a bunch of cool new little items, and you got bonus items. So remember back. Sorry about that. Where the fuck's my cat? There it is. Remember back in Mists of Pandaria, whenever they added in bonus rolls to WoW? Yeah, well, they have those in Diablo Immortal, but instead of actually spending lesser charms of good fortune, now you're spending United States dollars. And I
United
don't
States.
even, as I said, I don't even want to get into the pay to win, because I think that people have beat that dead horse so much that it's not even, it's a crater in the ground now. It's not even a horse. Everybody knows the game's fucking pay to win. It's garbage, and that's it. The thing that I want to talk about in here is that even if it was
Honestly, I don't know why don't just like. I know it's drama and I know it's getting a lot of people upset or whatever, and maybe I'm just a little emotionally distant from all that because I'm not a Diablo fan and I'm not personally invested in this. But the way I am, from my point of view, I just kind of want to, let it die. Just kind of, just let it, I understand that a lot of people are already like financially invested to the point where they're angry or they feel betrayed. I understand all these feelings that real fans of the franchise will have. But this deserves to just be let go. Like, we need to just let this die, and we need to like not draw more attention to this, because the more attention you draw, the more people are just going to potentially, see it and get pushed into the game, just preying on them because they think it might not happen to them. They think that they might be safe because they have self control now, because they're, I don't know, adults or whatever. Like, it's just we just need to let the stupid game go.
wasn't pay to win, it would still suck. And I want to talk about the first boss, Lassal, the Flamebringer, the Painbringer, the fucking, and that's a pretty fair way to say it, is the Painbringer, because I didn't realize how painful this game was until I fought him. So what happened was I went and I decided to fight this boss, and it was an 8-man raid. Wow, a Diablo raid. That sounds cool. I
I hadn't
like
even
playing
gotten to
Lost
that.
Ark. Maybe it's gonna be like Vaulton. It wasn't like Vaulton. So I walk in, and immediately upon walking through the gate, a door closes behind me, and the boss immediately becomes active before I could even see him on my screen. So then my raid group goes through, and obviously the boss has such tremendous mechanics as stops and casts a 3-second shockwave that has an indicator right here, and then whenever the indicator and the ability goes off, the damage is right here. It's just so plainly, like, I mean, I don't know if somebody wants to edit this over what I'm saying here, but like, it's just fucking, it's in the wrong place. Like, that's all there is to it. It says it's gonna be here, the animation goes off, it's here. So it's just fucking broken.
That's actually really sad to me, coming from, well, now coming from Final Fantasy, where an indicator is what matters, and wherever the animation happens, like the artistic part of your spell or an enemy spell or whatever, it doesn't matter because that's just like a flashy effect that, just kind of jumped into another place. But that's not what damages you. If it's an AoE on the ground, whatever you see on the ground is what matters. Wherever you see the shield area, that's the area that matters. Whatever glows around the shield doesn't matter. Wherever the sparkles are going also doesn't matter. So this is kind of a shit experience.
And then finally, after that gets done, he decides that he wants to fucking Superman all across the map. And so you've got him jumping from like one area to another, but the problem is that the game is so badly coded because, guys, it's a phone game and they only had 4 years to make it. So you can't expect a whole lot. And they make this game, and the guy is jumping around and he's like teleporting. Like you can look by frame, he's like going like this, man. It's like a glitch in the fucking Matrix. He can't even figure out where he's supposed to be, jumping around, smashing people. And then finally, if you do too much damage to the boss, this is a little bit of a little fun surprise mechanic here, is that if you do too much damage to the boss, he has an ability where he'll throw a rock on the ground. And then Blizzard came up with this crazy idea where, like, if you
So it's a pain to win. Well, yeah, pain to win, I guess. Pay to win game where you pay to do more damage, but if you pay too much, the game is additionally going to punish you.
have the boss throw something and then you have to line of sight it. So it's a big AoE. You have to line of sight with the rock that he throws on the ground. This is, again, groundbreaking, revolutionary ideas here that Blizzard has come up with this game. And sometimes he doesn't put the rock down. So everybody's just sitting there. Oh, wow. So where's the rock? Well, I guess we'll die. And then everybody fucking dies. And that's
That's
it.
so bullshit.
So this is the first boss. So you want to assume that the first boss is probably the boss that the most players have done. And you also want to assume that the first boss is the first boss that most players have done, which means that it's received the most reports, it's received the most testing, and it's received the most bug fixes. So what I'm saying is that it's only going to go down from here. And whenever I was doing this fight, I was thinking to myself that this is what I would expect to see if I went to a community college and I was looking at people's midterm projects.
Oh, God.
This is like a community college game design midterm project. And you know what? I think it's about a B+. It's not very good. And I was thinking to myself every time that I wiped on this piece of shit boss, how much better Volton is. How much better literally any other boss in Lost Ark is. How much better, like, you think about Shaper, you think about Uber Elder, Cirrus, you think about Cortex, Maven, all these fights in Path of Exile. And I understand Path of Exile is a very complex game, and Diablo, you know, scratches the itch that maybe Gauntlet gave people back in 1980, I mean to say. So I understand that this is, of course, true, and it's supposed to be simpler, but there's a very big difference between something being simple and something being for the simple-minded. And I think
Oh, God.
Diablo is absolutely designed for somebody who's simple-minded in mind.
I'll be honest, when I started playing Diablo, I thought that the very play style is friendly towards me because I haven't played many like ARPGs. That is just not my genre. I haven't been getting myself into it. And I'm still so fresh to the genre that I'm still learning how to move myself around the map, how to cast my abilities, where to look, because this perspective, like this angled camera perspective, is still something that bothers me, still something that I'm getting used to. And Diablo as a Immortal as a game to a noob like myself, it does give you this feeling of false security, like, oh, this is maybe not that hard. But I figured that if I spend 2 weeks tops playing Path of Exile, playing any other game that is just a little bit more difficult than Diablo Immortal, going back to Diablo Immortal will make me feel like an idiot for sure.
And I think that makes a lot of sense because, it's just honestly, guys, I look at the combat in this game. It's five fucking buttons, and it's not about how many buttons the game has that are good, but it's about how dynamic those buttons even are. Like you look at the legendary effects, and half of the legendary effects are, oh, this slows your opponent by 20%. Oh, this makes your ability do 10% more damage.
Yeah, I did see that. They're not very imaginative, and it's not like it doesn't add like a role play feeling to it. It's not like, I mean, I'm not a game dev. Like if I had to come up with a special kind of ability that will be kind of a signature for a class, I wouldn't know how to do that. I don't have these ideas. But I figured that people who are in charge of that, they should do better than just increase damage at the end. Like they should make it so that you feel like you are the class that you're playing. That's why it's also an RPG.
What the fuck is this? Like, is this supposed to be fun? Is this supposed to be a good time? Oh wow, what a transformative, amazing item! It's just lazy. It's fucking lazy, and I'm not sure that I don't know why that they released this game. I don't understand. I don't understand because it's so depressing to me. It makes me so mad. And like I tried to play the game on stream and I tried to do the meme and this is what I was gonna do. Oh, it's pay to win. I'm gonna spend $25 a Rift and it's gonna be a big thing and it's gonna be funny because I was gonna buy fake $20 bills and I have a lighter right here. I was gonna light each one on fire every single time that I did a Rift. I thought it'd be
That's
like a funny
hilarious.
little thing. But I can't even pretend to do that. I cannot.
It's like when a piece of content just pisses you off so much that you can't even entertain anymore. Like for a content creator, that is just hurtful as hell.
I I can't play this game. It's like every single time that I'm playing this game, I feel like I'm slapping myself in the face. Like, why am I doing this? What am I doing with my life that I'm playing this piece of shit? And again, I want to emphasize this has nothing to do with the pay to win. The game is fundamentally bad. It's a worse version of Diablo 3. And I want to just go through and, oh, but Asmon, you didn't do the PvP. Oh, really? I didn't do the PvP? Oh man, I guess I missed out on somebody who spent $10,000 killing me because I only spent 1,000. It's a fucking Whale Wars. Who the fuck wants to play that? Like, I watched some guy, and it's like, oh, I'm like one of the number one free-to-play players. I watched this guy do.
Like honestly, this is starting to get a little painful to watch because I don't just like, he does have good commentary, but when I listen to his videos, I also watch his videos because apart from the fact that he has good takes and they're rational and just well supported by facts, he also is emotional, and it's just very hard to see that kind of emotion on someone who is just disappointed by a company who he spent time promoting, playing their games, playing the content, and we're all just like, I'm also well, and I would even say an ex Blizzard fan because I don't participate in Blizzard and their games or whatever in that way anymore. And it's just, we're all just kind of sitting there just watching it burn, and content creators like asmongold, even though yes he shits on it a lot for a good reason, you'll have some content creators who just out of love and a little bit of just desperation and sadness and nostalgia will have these buckets of water, trying to just kind of put down the fire at least by, just giving some form of useful commentary or whatever. This video wasn't made for no reason. Like every single one of videos like this is a cry for help. This is a cry for, damn it, let's, do something. Don't release these kinds of games. Don't, I don't know. It's just hard. It's hard to watch.
PvP, and he just gets farmed by whales. He's like, I don't know, he's like a really big minnow.
Because he really
or a
loves...
really big plankton. And you know what? The whales don't fucking care. They eat him anyway. And how low is your self-respect?
That's the thing. Like, just because you have money doesn't mean that it's the best idea ever to spend it on something like this. Do you think he doesn't? Do you think Asmongold doesn't have that money? Like, if he wanted to, he could invest into something like this, no problem. I'm pretty sure. Like, of course, I don't have this information, but based on just how much we know about how much he does earn through, through streaming, or like I'm not even, like, I'm not educated on his other like avenues and sources of income or whatnot, but I would guess that as a bigger content creator that you can invest this sort of money if you want to. That doesn't mean that it's a good idea.
That you allow yourself to fucking grind a game for 18 hours a day to get farmed by people that have a better job in real life than you do.
Oh.
I can't believe it. It is astonishing to me that anybody would put themselves through that level of torture. So, where does this leave us? Well, this leaves us with our beautiful and grand announcement of Diablo 4. Oh boy. It's gonna be different this time, guys. We promise. This is going to be a live game that's going to be updated.
They knew the dates of all these events. They knew when Diablo Immortal was going to be released. They knew when Diablo 4 is going to be announced. Like, how come no one within that company, no one who matters, how come they didn't see this dumpster fire approaching, where people, like, I'm not saying that people should ever recover from this kind of shock, but unfortunately people always do. Like, this is just something that people forget and ignore, and it just becomes old news. Like, I don't know, every shit that goes down, after a while people just succumb to their mostly to their same habits, their routines, the things that they love, just because they like, over time they stop being as angry and they just go back to their submissive, apathic state. And to just think that they would even do this announcement before most of their target audience even went into the apathic state that they knew most of their audience would go into.
Oh, really? Like Diablo 3 has been updated. Think back right now, in 2016, what Path of Exile was like in 2016. And then I want you to think about what Path of Exile was like whenever Maven came out. I think this was Ritual League. Think about how much of a change and how much of the game has changed from point A to point B, right? And then I want you to take how Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls played in 2016 and compare it to how it plays 6 months ago. It's the same fucking game. It's the exact same fucking game. So yes, I can't wait for Blizzard to release Diablo 4 with basically no fucking innovation, no effort whatsoever really put into making the end game anything more than a grind fest, and with probably conveniently misleading PR language to make people believe falsely that the game won't have a way to pay to win.
Some people, obviously, some people knew about it. Some people already made predictions about it and whatnot. But I think this time, I just want to believe that for real, people are for real going to, to see this, and they're going to read into things that were said or not said or whatever. It's just...
So this is, I know this is about Diablo Immortal, but I'm just so, like, I'm so fucking triggered about this, I can't stop thinking about it. Like, I actually got out of bed yesterday to fucking go live and yell at the screen about this. I was so fucking mad. Like, Diablo Immortal is fucking garbage. It's garbage with or without pay to win. Diablo 3 is fucking garbage. Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls is fucking garbage. They have done literally no effort to make the game innovative, to change its...
I don't understand how it's not embarrassing to them. Like I haven't actually played through like Path of Exile, but I had a person next to me who played hours and hours of Path of Exile every single day. And I saw a lot of these things. I know a lot about the game, even though never having played it. And I just don't understand from like what I can see about these two games. I don't understand how they can consistently release the games that are inferior to Path of Exile and call them innovating. Like the point of releasing a new game is actually beating your competition. You're releasing this game as a not as an indie company, as a fully, grown company, knowing that your product, whatever it may be, is just not going to be as good. You can't possibly believe that this is better than, I don't know, than Path of Exile.
design, or to make it anything more than what it was whenever it pretty much just came out. I'm not expecting a lot out of Diablo 4. And whenever Blizzard, I can't believe this, Blizzard says, oh, wait a minute, no, the store is it's gonna be anchored around optional cosmetic microtransactions. Oh, really? Anchored around? Is that an exclusionary statement? No, it's fucking not. And so whenever, remember, I'm reading this, I'm thinking, Wyatt Chang, oh, you can't buy gear in Diablo Immortal. You can't do that. You can't buy any gear. You
However,
can't just buy stuff and buy gear and make your character more powerful. Oh, you got us. You got us. You can only buy gems, which are what all of your power comes from. And so I'm not going to buy into this purposefully misleading PR lane.
it's just like the moment that came to light, I just I was so angry as a gamer who, who was just looking at all my fellow gamers, getting fooled and getting treated like children. It's like one of those things when you say something to a child, you don't want to lie to them, but at the same time you say something that is and isn't true, but like in your head you're like, haha, like I don't know, like it's just it's literally treating its player base like children, as if we're all stupid, as if we all don't know what this is going to what this means, what it's going to mean, as if no one's going to figure out eventually, like, hey, this is gear. Like, it's just I don't understand how they can allow that, that's how no one saw that people are going to see into this.
Language
Jesus.
bullshit. I'm sorry to say. Skins in Lost Ark give you stat bonuses. There's no rule that says that skins can't give you any sort of a combat or non-combat, such as experience bonus. Black Desert Online did this.
They only did a good job when it comes to that. They only did it in Hearthstone. In Hearthstone, I do believe you have these like diamond skins or whatever. Like, if a card that you can only buy with real money, if it had like a different, more powerful effect or whatever, that would mean the end of the game. That would be a scandal. That would be just burning the game to the ground. And I guess if they ever want to make more money and at the same time see the game burn to the ground in about a year or less, they are going to decide that the platinum cards or whatever they are, or different skins, that those have more power than the ones that you can grind in game or craft with your dust or whatever.
And also, speaking of Black Desert Online, you don't buy gold in Black Desert Online. You buy skins and you sell them. And you can mention here that, conveniently, Blizzard did not say whether these skins will be BOE or BOP. And you know what? I wonder. Because the fact is, I think Diablo Immortal is going to be doing incredibly well It's like a 4 point something on the Apple Play Store. Nobody gives a shit about Metacritic. Whenever the normies see the game, they're going to look at it on their App Store and they're going to be like, oh wow, Diablo, I used to play that. And then they're going to log on, and before you know it, they're tapping Mad King's treasure troves all the way home. And Blizzard's laughing all their way to the bank while Bobby's flying around on his fucking
Oh
helicopter.
god.
And that's the world that we live in. And people ask me why I'm not excited for Diablo.
It's just a different mentality. Games, like the first time I ever got familiarized with like the community of mobile games and their predatory content and how pay to win they are is when my younger brother, who is 13 years younger than me, when he started when he got his first phone, or what was it, a tablet or whatever, when he was, I don't know, 5, 6, 7. I don't even know. Like when he would like play these games, and the first time when he would ask for some purchase for like gems or coins or whatever, like to me, as someone who, I don't know, spent her childhood being, poor and looking for, cheap games or free games or alternatives or whatever, just so that I don't have to, spend too much money on buying a game. Like we had this whole thing in our country, and probably in a lot of other countries, where people would like, I don't know, steal the games off the internet. They would put them on discs, and over here, like they would sell them for like, I don't know, $1 or $2 on the like on the street. And like they would have to like run away from like the inspectors and whatnot. So they were kind of like CD and DVD dealers that you could only find like in certain, like at certain times of day in certain spots or whatever. And I knew these spots, so those were obviously those were the games that I would be buying, because I couldn't afford like the original version of the game. There was just no way. Like I wasn't making any money. I was, my family wasn't making any money, not enough to buy games. But then I grew up, and my family was a little better off when my brother was young, and then he had like a certain amount of money that he could spend on online gaming. I was like, what the fuck? You know? Like to me that was just a totally new concept, that it was suddenly okay to spend $5, $10 or whatever on some purchase that you don't even know what you bought. It's not a game that he wanted. It's just something within a game that he's going to stop playing in like, I don't know, a day or two, or whatever. And then the next time I encountered that was when I became a parent myself. And obviously, Mom of the Year here did allow her child to, to use the phone and have some games on it. Fortunately, there are some good, like, free games, like those, what are they called? Like Lucas and Ruby and whatnot. Like, those are free and they're actually educational, and my kid loves them. But there are also these games, since there was like a time when he was using an iPhone, um, and there were like, on that particular phone, like whenever I would enter like the App Store, like Apple Store or whatever, like there were just no games at all, without ads, without purchases, without nothing. And it was just very hard to explain to my child that, like, he was what, like 2, or well, yeah, he was 2 at the time when that started happening. It's like I would get a few of those games on my phone and I would just give him the phone, but then he would try to click onto these other like sub games within a game, because like you get a game for free, and like 4 out of 10 chapters are unlocked or whatever, and each chapter costs like, I don't know, $2. And of course he's trying to click through it and it's not working. He doesn't know that these are purchases, and obviously he can't buy anything because I don't have my card connected to my phone or whatever. But then it's just kind of a weird, heartbreaking thing for a parent to be like, oh well, I'm not paying, I'm not going to spend money on children's apps. Like that is just not how I was raised. That is just not what I will do. And eventually I stopped giving him my phone. Like we found an alternative where he, I don't know, has some cheap like tablet with a few of those free to play games that are actually, I don't know, somewhat educational, like coloring books, like writing numbers and letters and stuff. And I stopped giving him my phone or any other phone where he would encounter these kinds of games, because for him, like, he eventually he gives up on it. He sees that it's not working. But like for me, it's just I don't know how to describe it. Like it's just hard to see a child, click through something, and like it's not working. Like, I understand that he was probably too young to be having a phone anyways, and everyone's going to have an opinion about that. But at the same time, it's just, you kind of, like, those games make you feel, as a parent, they make you feel like a little piece of shit for either not wanting to buy those games, or not being able to afford them, or not, I don't know, indulging and not doing it so that your child could be, I don't know, happier, or so that they could, like, I don't know, have more content or whatever, so that you could do more stuff with them. Instead, I I turn around, I take that phone away, and I invest that money into something visible, and something that he's going to spend, days, months, or years playing, that he can actually touch and interact with, like a real toy and not an app. So it's a trap that anyone can fall into, not just children. And those apps absolutely prey on everyone. And the mobile phone community is just a special kind of breed, where if you get into that world once, you just live there, and nothing is shocking to you anymore. Like, these things like Diablo Immortal, that's not shocking anymore. That is old news. Like, of course it's going to have good reviews, because that is the target audience. The worst thing that they could have possibly done was they brought it on PC, where people are not a part of that community, and where these microtransactions that are just going undetected pretty much within a mobile phone community. Here they see it in a different light. And I think their project of bringing Blizzard games onto mobile, it's failed colossally, from the point of view where they tried to get the PC gamers to enjoy those mobile games. And I'm actually just really wondering what's going to happen to a game like the Warcraft, like the Arc Rumble thing. Initially, I was excited about the game, but now I'm just kind of sitting there wondering if, it's just going to be the same bullshit.
Four. I'm going to be honest, guys. It's going to have to earn my trust, because over the past 10 years, Diablo has done nothing but lose it. The game has made no innovations, it's made no changes, it's done literally nothing, while its competitors on the market, like Path of Exile and excuse me, and Lost Ark, have done miles, ran laps around this game. And the only thing that Diablo has that is better than those two games is maybe the combat feels a little bit more visceral. I'll give you that. And you know what else? It's simpler. Well, you know what? I don't really want to play a game that its main fucking benefit is that it's simple. I want to play a good game, and Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls has not been a good game for the better part of a decade. And I am so disappointed. I'm disappointed with Diablo Immortal. It's brought in hardly any new ideas except for the ideas that came from the monetization department. The fights themselves are one-dimensional garbage. The raid bosses are somehow even worse. The rifts are repetitive and not dynamic at all. And the greater rift system is just bigger number, better person. Well, that's not the way it works in Diablo Immortal. It's bigger number, bigger bank account. I'm sorry to say,
That sucks.
I think Diablo Immortal sucks. It's lowered my excitement about Diablo 4. And to be honest, it's even tempered a bit of my expectations of World of Warcraft Dragonflight. Because any company that would have the lack of self-respect to slap their fucking name on this piece of shit, I can't imagine anything good coming out of it.
That's just the way it is. People are already people are already past the initial shock of boosts in burning crusade of boosts in classic, like level boosts of boosts in Wrath of the Lich King, like all of these things. Like I said, the company knows very well that it just spikes as an initial shock and resentment and bad media or whatever, and eventually it just goes back to people just being submissive and just being like, oh well, now we have this too, what can you do?
Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Leave your comment down below. Hey guys, I'm sure it'll be different next time. I can't wait. I'll be there watching just like you. I'll see you later.
I don't know what to say. Everything's been said already. It was a good video. I expected nothing less. But it was also just really sad and disappointing and hurtful, and I don't know. Like it's just sad just to be a part of a generation of gamers whose I don't know, first games were, I don't know, like games on Sega, on what, Nintendos and whatnot, who used to I don't know, spend their days trying to beat Lion King and like, I don't know, Mario's and whatnots, to come to this point where 20 years later we are facing a world where that industry is just turned into a massive money grabbing, just, you know, piece of shit place surrounded by people in suits who have never played a single game, who are now in charge of making these decisions because of their schools or their experience or their whatnot, that's put them into this place. I think as a gamers, I think we did I think as gamers we have allowed the people who don't understand gaming to take over our industry and to do these kinds of things, to create these kinds of things. And I don't see how gamers are going to take gaming and games back into their own hands. At this point, I just don't know.